Part 176. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1751. Chapter 1751. The boy she loves with all her heart and eyes. She read for a while and felt a little sleepy. Just when she was about to sleep for a while, she heard someone knocking on the door. Shen Xian thought it was the nurse doing rounds. She closed the book in her hand and put it aside. Please come in. The door was pushed open. When Shen Xian saw Qiao Chen walking in from outside, she was stunned, and then her eyes widened in surprise. She had a surprised expression on her face, and after staring at Qiao Chen for a few seconds, she said, "Qiao Chen, why are you here? Grandma is hospitalized." "We are in the same hospital as you." Qiao Chen pursed his lips. He suppressed the abnormal emotions in his heart and said casually, "I thought you were still in the hospital, so I came over to see you." "Is the old lady hospitalized?" Shen Xian asked, a little surprised. "What's wrong with the old lady?" Shen Xian was a guest at Mo's house before. The old lady treated her well. Hearing that the old lady was admitted to the hospital, Shen Xian couldn't help but feel a little worried. "Well, Grandma accidentally fell her leg. But the doctor said she was lucky. She only hurt her leg a little and needs to stay in the hospital for a while. There's nothing else." "That's good." After Shen Xian said this, she said nothing more. The same goes for Qiao Chen. The two of them seemed to have nothing to say for a while, and they both fell into silence. "Shen Xian, aren't your family members with you?" Qiao Chen spoke first. "When I came in, you were the only one in the room. I told them not to stay with me all day. My mother comes to see me every day, but she will come back later." "That's it." Qiao Chen nodded, as if he didn't know what to say, and fell into silence again. Shen Xian looked at the handsome young man standing beside the hospital bed, thinking that once she left Yunqing, the two of them would have a chance to meet again. For a moment, she felt a little sad. This is the first boy that her heart has fallen in love with. She liked him for 3 whole years. Even if they could never be together in the future, Shen Xian knew very well that Qiao Chen would be someone she would never forget for the rest of her life. This boy she loves with all her heart and eyes. "Shen Xian, do you want a drink of water?" Qiao Chen stood by the bed for a while and saw that the cup on the bedside table was empty, so he walked over and picked up the cup. He took a glass of water and brought it over. Shen Xian was actually not thirsty either, but when Qiao Chen handed her the water glass, she still took it. Qiao Chen watched her take a few sips and then brought another piece of fruit over. "Shen Xian, do you want to eat some fruit? I'll peel one for you." Shen Xian looked at the orange in his hand and was about to say that she wouldn't eat it when she saw Qiao Chen taking a fruit knife and sitting down by the bed. He peeled an orange skillfully. Shen Xian wasn't hungry at all. Qiao Chen handed her the peeled orange. She hesitated but took it anyway. She ate the orange slowly. Qiao Chen watched her finish eating and then picked up another apple. "Qiao Chen, I'm not hungry, please stop peeling." Shen Xian wiped her hands with a paper towel, watched Qiao Chen take another apple, and hurriedly stopped him. "Really, do you want to eat something else?" Shen Xian shook her head. "No need, I'm not hungry." "That's it." Qiao Chen put the apple back in his hand. He looked at Shen Xian's leg that was still in a cast and asked, "Did the doctor tell you when the cast on your leg can be removed?" "Yes." Shen Xian nodded. "In 2 days, the plaster can be removed." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1752. Chapter 1752. Now it's me to pursue you. The plaster is removed, which means that Shen Xian will be discharged from the hospital soon. After Shen Xian is discharged from the hospital, she will leave Yunqing soon. When Qiao Chen thought of this, his eyes dimmed, and he felt an indescribable sour feeling in his heart. He still couldn't keep her. He was thinking, if he had promised her when she chased him, would she still leave now? Well, that's good. He felt sour in his heart, but still had a smile on his face, looking very happy for her. When Xiao Chen felt sad, Shen Xian felt even more sad. Because in this relationship, she is the one who gives more. No matter how sad she felt, she still suppressed it and didn't show it. Xiao Chen, the college entrance examination is coming soon. You must be very busy during this period. Shen Xian looked at the young man's handsome and delicate face, and felt a twinge in her heart. She tugged at the corners of her lips and said with a bit of sourness in her smile, "You should go back and review carefully. I'm a little sleepy too. I want to rest." How could Xiao Chen not hear it? Shen Xian was telling him tactfully that he could leave. He thought it was funny. In the past, Shen Xian had always been chasing him, but he had been avoiding her. But now, Shen Xian is avoiding him. It was only now that he understood how Shen Xian felt when she was repeatedly rejected by him. Xiao Chen didn't want to leave. But he also knew that there was no reason for him to stay here any longer. He was silent for a while, then nodded, enduring the acupuncture pain in his heart, and said, "Okay, then, take a good rest. I will come see you another day." Shen Xian lowered her eyes and covered up the tears flashing in her eyes. "I'm leaving." Xiao Chen slowly turned around and walked slowly toward the door. Going to the door of the room, he reached out and opened the door. Just when he was about to step out, he suddenly turned his head and called out, "Shen Xian. Chen Xian, I like that bracelet you gave me very much." Xiao Chen raised one wrist. He was wearing the black bracelet Shen Xian gave him. "I will always wear it. Also, Shen Xian, I want to say that you chased me for 3 years. I don't care what you think now, I won't give up on you easily. Even if you change schools, I will still wait for you." Seeing Shen Xian raise her head with a surprised expression, Xiao Chen smiled and continued, "Shen Xian, it's me who will pursue you now. I've already thought about it. It doesn't matter even if you leave Yunchinj, I can go to you. When my sister went to another city to film, my brother-in-law was so busy with work that he found time to go there and accompany her. As long as you have the will, there is nothing you can't do." Shen Xian's eyes widened little by little, with surprise in them. It seemed that Xiao Chen had never thought that Xiao Chen would say these words to her. Xiao Chen didn't even think about waiting for her to respond. After he finished speaking, he walked out of the ward. The door closed gently. Shen Xian was still staring in the direction of the door in a daze, and she didn't come back to her senses for a long time. Asterisk. Following the program crew on the first night of filming. Mo Yesi got off work early and came back to help Xiao Mian pack her luggage. Because this time she mainly went to the countryside to record a program, Xiao Mian brought some very casual clothes, such as t-shirts, trousers, sneakers, and the like. Mo Yesi prepared a lot of plasters for bruises, mosquito repellent, flashlights, compasses, flares and other items for her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1753. Chapter 1753. He is not at all worried about Xiao Mian. He even helped her prepare a mobile phone that can accurately locate calls for help from anywhere in the world. Xiao Mian looked at the things he had prepared and couldn't help but smile. Mo Yesi, I am going to record the program when the time comes. The people from the program team will also be with us. Why do I feel that these things you prepared for me are as if I am going on an adventure alone? Be prepared. Mo Yesi didn't find it funny at all. In fact, he was not worried about Xiao Mian at all. Even he knew that the filming was accompanied by a program team. But when he goes to a remote place like that, he won't feel at ease unless he is with him personally. He took out the mobile phone that can perform global positioning and told Xiao Mian how to operate it and the various uses of the mobile phone. You can carry this mobile phone with you. You can use it no matter where you are, whether there is a signal or not. Connect with the outside world. If you encounter any danger, you can press this button to accurately locate your location. The best rescue team will go to rescue you immediately. It also has a long standby time, and can last for a month when fully charged. There is also this compass. After Mo Yesi introduced the functions of the phone, he took out the compass and taught Xiao Mian how to use it. If you get lost in the mountains, it can help you get out. Look at the direction of this needle. The man explained it very carefully, just because he was afraid that she wouldn't understand. After you finish speaking, you have to ask again. If Xiao Mian didn't quite understand something, he would explain it to her in detail. Although Xiao Mian found it funny, she knew that Mo Yesi cared about her and was worried that she would behave like this, which made her feel particularly sweet in her heart. Mo Yesi explained seriously, and she listened attentively. Did you understand what I just told you? Well, I understand. Do you really understand? Real? Okay, then tell me again. Mo Yesi was obviously worried about her. How do you use the compass I just told you about? Xiao Mian. Does he not believe in her intelligence? Xiao Mian complained a few words in her heart, but still took the compass and explained the specific usage. After finishing speaking, she looked at the man next to her with an expression asking for praise. Am I right? Is this how it is used? Mo Yesi nodded. Yes, that's right. Okay, hubby, don't worry about me anymore. Xiao Mian stood on tiptoes and pecked his thin lips. I know you don't trust me going to such a remote place, but this time it's really, there were so many people together, there was no chance for me to be alone. Just in case anyway, you have them all with you so that you are prepared. Okay, I'll take them all with me. Xiao Mian nodded hurriedly. I'll listen to you. Early the next morning, Xiao Mian had to get up. The program team will arrange for photographers and staff to come to Mo Yesi's villa to take pictures of her just after she wakes up. Xiao Mian knew that Mo Yesi didn't like outsiders coming to the house. But after I told him this time, he agreed readily and showed no dissatisfaction. After packing her luggage, Xiao Mian took a shower and went to bed because she had to get up early the next morning. Mo Yesi also went to bed with her very early. Early the next morning. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1754. Chapter 1754. It's true that there are two worlds. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the program team had already arrived outside Mo Yesi's villa. When the photography team's car parked outside Mo Yesi's villa, several photographers and staff members in the car looked at the environment around the villa and exclaimed, Xiao Mian actually lives here in Lushan Villa. A villa costs hundreds of millions, right? Hundreds of millions. I'm afraid you can't buy hundreds of millions. This is a top wealthy area, and a villa is worth at least 500 million. And it depends on the area. I think this villa is probably more than 500 million. Tisk, this is really a place that only the top rich can afford to live. Xiao Mian is still a newcomer, and she definitely can't spend so much money to buy a villa here. Could it be that her rich and handsome boyfriend bought this villa? It should be. Didn't you say that he was from the Mo family? He should be able to afford the villa here. If it hadn't been for this shooting, I probably would never have been able to set foot in this place in my life. To enter the villa area, an identity permit is required. Otherwise, ordinary people would simply not be able to enter such a place. Before the program crew came to shoot, Moyesi greeted the security department and the program crew was let in. The black RV waited outside for a while. The black carved copper door slowly opened, and the security guard's voice came from inside, allowing them to drive in. They waited for the black RV to drive into the villa. The people in the car looked at everything around them and once again lamented that the world of rich people and theirs were indeed two different worlds. So, why is there such a thing as poverty limiting imagination? People of different classes are people living in two worlds. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have been able to imagine such a mansion. The program crew's car drove to the fountain pool in front of the residential area and stopped. Several photographers got out of the car carrying their cameras. Ren was waiting with the bodyguards and maids in the villa. After seeing the photographers get out of the car, Ren stepped forward and said with a smile, "Welcome gentlemen. Miss Jiao, I just got up and am still washing up. I wonder if the gentlemen have had breakfast. Because Chiao Mian and Moyesi are still lovers to the outside world." So Moyesi told Ren and the others in advance, so Ren's name for Chiao Mian changed. When they saw Ren waiting outside with a group of servants, several photographers turned their heads and looked at each other for a few seconds. They each silently sighed again in their hearts that the world of rich people was indeed different from theirs. Even the servants and bodyguards here have first-class temperament and aura, far superior to ordinary people. It's no wonder that in ancient times, maids from big families were treated with high regard. Although it is a job of serving others, it also depends on who is serving. Let's just eat something, one of the people in charge replied. Ren smiled and said, "We were just making breakfast for Miss Jiao. Everyone came here so early and they must not have eaten well. Why don't we eat first and then shoot? There shouldn't be a hard and fast rule on the shooting time. We can shoot later. May I?" The person in charge looked at the others, hesitated, and said a little embarrassedly, "Isn't this very good?" "That's so embarrassing." "What are you sorry about?" Ren smiled and said, "I cooked a lot for breakfast. Although I don't know much about your job, it must be very hard. Only when you have eaten well can you have the energy and strength to work hard." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1755. Chapter 1755. You think too much. I didn't think so. That's it, let's have breakfast first. I'll have someone prepare it right away. He said so, and the person in charge couldn't refuse any more. In addition, they didn't eat well before they came here. They only had a few bites, so many of them were still hungry. Since the other party doesn't mind them taking advantage of the opportunity, there is no reason to refuse. The person in charge nodded, "That's troublesome. You're welcome." After Ren said that, he immediately called for people to prepare breakfast. Asterisk. The people from the program team were arranged by Ren to the dining room. After Ren left, a group of people looked around with curiosity and wonder. When they saw the two oil paintings hanging on the wall of the restaurant, one of them was surprised. "These two paintings are not in country S, those two masterpieces by famous artists that were sold at the auction. I remember that I did a special feature in that issue, and the transaction price of the two paintings was more than 20 million. Is this painting real?" Two paintings cost more than 20 million, everyone else looked at the two paintings in surprise. They naturally cannot tell the truth from the false. But for someone who can live in such a place, there is no way there are fakes hanging on the walls. Just hang more than 20 million yuan on the wall casually, what a wealthy person. How can it be fake if it's not a real rich man? You don't even know how much this villa is worth. That vase on the shelf is an antique, right? I seem to have seen it at an auction. Several people in the program team were shocked by the luxurious furnishings in the restaurant. Because they calculated, the decorations in the restaurant alone are estimated to cost tens of millions. The restaurant is only a small part of the villa. The decoration price of the entire villa is hard to estimate. This boyfriend, Chiao Mian Mian, is too rich. Even though they had read Bagua before and knew that Chiao Mian Mian was dating a relative from a branch of the Mo family, a group of people were still shocked after seeing with their own eyes how treacherous this relative was. I don't know which branch this so-called side branch is. This is too rich. Asterisk. Upstairs. Chiao Mian Mian had washed up and had just changed her clothes when she heard Ren said that the program team had arrived. Mo Yesi also changed his clothes and came out of the cloakroom with her. Chiao Mian Mian saw that he was dressed neatly, so she walked over and straightened the collar of his shirt. Actually, you don't have to get up with me so early. I will just leave with the program team then, and you don't have to see me off. Mo Yesi lowered his head and looked at the little woman who had just reached his chin. She was carefully helping him arrange his clothes. She lowered her head and looked gentle, which made Mo Yesi feel tenderness in his heart. He curled his lips and said softly, "You are leaving soon. Of course I have to seize the time to spend more time with my wife. You don't want the show crew to photograph me, do you?" "How could it be?" Chiao Mian Mian raised her head and glared at him with a smile. "You have been exposed a long time ago, so you are no longer a mysterious figure. And our relationship has been made public. Why don't I want the show team to film it?" "You. Because you don't want people to know that we live together," Mo Yesi said seriously. "Chiao Mian Mian, you are thinking too much. I haven't thought about it that way." After finishing her clothes, she took a step back, put her hands behind her back and looked at him from top to bottom. Mo Yesi just stood there without moving, letting her look at her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1756. Chapter 1756. Let's take pictures however we want. How about it? I won't embarrass you if I continue like this, Mo Yesi asked with a smile after looking at her for a while. Chiao Mian Mian also laughed. She supported her chin with one hand and pretended to think deeply for a few seconds. Then she nodded and said, "Well, it's not bad." Mo Yesi raised his eyebrows and pretended to be angry. "Is it just okay?" "Okay, it's not that it's not bad, it's very handsome." "Now you are satisfied." Chiao Mian Mian smiled and stepped forward and hooked his neck. Mo Yesi lowered his head, held her chin and kissed her lips gently. "I know you will think I'm verbose, but I still want to say that you must take care of yourself and protect yourself when you go out. No matter what you do, safety comes first, do you understand?" Chiao Mian Mian nodded. "Yes, I understand." "Hey," Mo Yesi sighed softly, "I still don't trust you. What should I do?" Mo Yesi: "Okay, let's go down and don't keep others waiting too long." Asterisk. The people from the program team waited in the restaurant for a while, and the maids brought breakfast one after another. The richness of breakfast exceeded their imagination. The long white dining table is almost filled with all kinds of rich foods. A group of people were secretly stunned that breakfast could be so luxurious. This kind of breakfast has more varieties than the morning tea in a five-star hotel. The maid had just laid out breakfast when Mo Yesi and Chiao Mian Mian walked into the dining room. "Mr. Mo, Miss Chiao," the maids greeted the two of them respectfully. People from the program team also stood up when they saw them walking in. When they saw Mo Yesi, these people unconsciously felt a bit of awe in their hearts, and they called out politely, "Mr. Mo." Then he greeted Chiao Mian Mian again, "Miss Chiao. Everyone has worked hard for coming here so early, come sit down and eat." It takes at least more than an hour for the people from the program team to drive here, and many people get up after 4 o'clock. The photographer of the program team looked at the intimate look of Xiao Mian and Mo Yesi clasping their fingers. He hesitated for a moment and asked, "Miss Xiao, Mr. Mo, I wonder if we can start shooting from now on. Do you mind? I think from now on, I will be able to capture more material." Before agreeing to let this group of people come to shoot here, Mo Yesi knew what their shooting mode would be like. Xiao Mian also told him. So he had nothing to mind. He nodded and said, "Of course, you can do whatever you want." Xiao Mian also nodded and said, "Everyone can take pictures however they want." After getting permission, the photographer immediately got up and went to get the camera. First he took a picture of Xiao Mian and Mo Yesi, and then added a close-up of the place where their fingers were intertwined. Another photographer set up his camera at the entrance of the restaurant to capture the next scene. Xiao Mian has watched the previous episodes of the program and knows that after leaving the program team, she will start to live a hard life. So she ate a lot of breakfast. There were so many photographers on the program team that they stared at her in shock. Because they didn't expect that there would be artists who would dare to eat like this. But all artists will strictly manage their bodies, and the company will also have requirements in this regard. Because the artist industry has very strict requirements on appearance, being a little fatter or thinner will have a big impact. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1757. Chapter 1757, A Mouthful of Dog Food. The artists they have photographed before all ate boiled vegetables and tofu, and there was never any oil in their food. Some of the more strict ones did not even add seasonings. There are some artists who pretend to be foodies. They look like they can really eat and are not afraid of gaining weight, but in fact they either take photos with the food, or they eat it and immediately induce vomiting after the show. No one dares to eat without any scruples like Xiao Mian. Moreover, Xiao Mian didn't look like she deliberately ate like this for the show. She ate a lot of high-calorie food. And looking at her expression when eating, it looks like she is really enjoying the food, not pretending. One of the photographers couldn't help but ask, "Ms. Xiao, do you usually eat like this?" Xiao Mian had just swallowed a piece of cake, still holding a piece in her hand. She raised her head and looked at the photographer who asked the question, and suddenly realized that several people sitting opposite were looking at her. She was stunned for a moment, and her face suddenly turned red. Then he blinked with an innocent expression. "Ahem, what's wrong? Did I eat too much and scare you?" "No, no," the photographer said immediately, "I'm just curious. Generally, what artists eat for 3 meals a day is determined by the company. Miss Xiao's company doesn't seem to have such regulations." "The company also has regulations," Xiao Mian said truthfully. "It's just that I think if I eat 3 meals a day according to the company's rules, I might not be able to stand it. For me, eating is more important. And because I eat I won't gain weight, so the company doesn't care what I eat." Several people on the opposite side. If this segment is broadcast, there will probably be countless envious and jealous people in front of the TV. It is definitely good at increasing the hatred value. Having a physique that won't gain weight after eating is a physique that female artists can only dream of. Looking at Xiao Mian's slim figure, even though she eats and drinks a lot, a group of people can only secretly sigh in their hearts that some things are just natural. Some people can gain weight just by drinking water. Some people will not gain weight no matter how much they eat. Asterisk. After dinner, the program team took photos of the villa from the inside out with Mo Yesi's permission. When they walked into the back garden and took pictures of a large lily, Ren introduced them to them. "This lily garden was specially planted by our husband for Miss Xiao. Because Miss Xiao likes lilies, he asked someone to plant it. When these lilies bloom, Miss Xiao can come and see them." Following photographers and staff. Accidentally, I was stuffed with a mouthful of dog food. After filming in the residential area, the program team will transfer to the airport and take Xiao Mian to another city to meet other guests. Mo Yesi wanted to see Xiao Mian off, so he gave up taking his own car and followed Xiao Mian to the airport in the show cruise van. After arriving at the airport and getting the ticket, Xiao Mian was going to go through the security check with the program team. Mo Yesi confessed again and again, and after many instructions, Mo Yesi reluctantly let her go. The photographer recorded this scene. The program team was very generous and bought first-class cabins for all the guests participating in the program. The accompanying staff and photographers all flew in business class. During the flight, the filming also temporarily came to an end. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1758. Chapter 1758. Perhaps, she also began to doubt him. Xiao Mian sat down in her seat, took out the eye mask, adjusted the seat, put on the eye mask and prepared to catch up on her sleep. From Yunchinj to Ningxi, the flight time is 3.5 hours. She slept for a while wearing a blindfold, and heard footsteps beside her. After a while, there was some movement next to him. Xiao Mian didn't care, turned over and continued to sleep. After the person next to him sat down, there was no movement after a while. It wasn't until a while after the plane took off that the flight attendant came over to ask if she needed any help. Xiao Mian, who was not completely asleep, heard a familiar voice beside her, "A glass of ice water, put more ice cubes in it." "Yes, sir, do you need anything else?" "Just a glass of ice water." The man's voice was cold, and when he spoke again, there was a hint of impatience in his tone. "Okay, sir, please wait a moment, I will go and prepare it for you right away." Hearing this voice, Xiao Mian opened her eyes and pulled off the blindfold. She turned her head and her eyes widened when she saw Gong Zili sitting next to her. Just when she turned her head, Gong Zili also turned his head and looked at her. The two of them looked at each other, and Gong Zili was not surprised at all when he saw her. Xiao Mian was stunned for a few seconds, her brows furrowed slightly, and a strange feeling emerged in her heart. "Mr. Gong, are you going to Ningxi? The people sitting on this plane are not going to Ning City, where else can they go?" Completely different from the indifference and impatience he had when facing the flight attendant before, at this time, Gong Zili's eyes were soft and his voice was also smiling. Interesting. Xiao Mian thought of the previous scandals and completely did not want to have any more unnecessary communication with Gong Zili. After she asked, she had no intention of continuing the conversation. She directly put the eye mask on her eyes, turned over and went to sleep. She turned her back to Gong Zili. Gong Zili lowered his eyes and stared at her back for a while, then slowly clenched his fists. How could he not feel that Xiao Mian was deliberately avoiding her? Gong Zili probably guessed why she was like this. It must be because of what happened last time. So now she is trying to avoid suspicion. She definitely doesn't want to cause any more scandals with him. For her, he was a trouble, and she wanted to avoid him. He felt bitter in his heart, but he also knew that his various behaviors during this period were indeed a bit abnormal. Meet her by chance every time. Perhaps, she also began to doubt him. After all, there are not so many coincidences in the world. He also felt that he was really despicable. Knowing that she was someone he shouldn't think too much about, he still found an opportunity to see her. Knowing that she was flying to another city to film a program today, he asked someone to find out the specific time of her flight, bought a ticket on the same flight, and even bought a seat next to her. The result of doing this was that she was disgusted. He felt it was worth it if he could see her one more time and spend a few hours with her on the plane. Thinking of what he was doing now, Gong Zili felt very funny. It turns out that if you like someone, you will really be humbled to the dust. But what to do? He really likes her. Like it so much that even though he knows that they are impossible and that he can only hope, he still doesn't want to let go. I like her so much that I am willing to humble myself for her. Chiao Mian looked like she was sleeping, but in fact, she was not asleep. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1759. Chapter 1759. A large group of people picking up the airport. She was thinking about something in her mind. She originally felt that some of her previous guesses and feelings were wrong and she was thinking too much. But after meeting Miyazawa Lee by chance on the plane again, she finally realized that some things might not be her illusion. Those coincidences, one or two, are already quite coincidental. She really didn't believe that meeting Gong Zili on the plane this time was just a coincidence. There are not so many coincidences in the world. Even if it is a coincidence that they are going to the same city, it is unlikely that they will be on the same plane by coincidence. Even if it is a coincidence that we are on the same plane, can it be a coincidence that the seats are next to each other? So, there is only one maximum possibility. That means Miyazawa knew her itinerary and bought a ticket on the same flight as hers. As for why he would do this, Chiao Mian's mood became a little complicated when she thought about that possibility. She couldn't understand why Gong Zili would treat her. Didn't he like Shenro? He has liked Shenro for so many years, how can he still say that he will change his heart when he changes his mind? After Chiao Mian realized that Gong Zili did have those thoughts about her, Chiao Mian became more determined to stay away from him in the future. So for the next more than 3 months and hours of flight time, she slept the whole time and never said a word to Gong Zili again. Even though she could actually feel the intense gaze next to her that would fall on her from time to time. Asterisk. 3.5 hours later, the plane arrived at Ningxi Airport on time. She took off her blindfold. Beside him, Gong Zili was still sitting in his seat and did not get up to leave. Chiao Mian put away her blindfold. She could feel Gong Zili looking at her, but she simply ignored it. When she passed by him, she said, "Mr. Gong, please give way." Gong Zili felt indescribably uncomfortable looking at her cold and distant look. He is now very sure that Chiao Mian is indeed alienating him. She may have discovered something. Gong Zili raised his head, his lips moved, wanting to say something, not wanting her to leave just like that. Because he doesn't know when the next meeting will be. He actually wanted to ask her whether she really had no memory of the night 10 years ago when she saved a little boy. Does she really have no impression of him at all? But what he wanted to say had just reached his lips. Before he could say a word, Chiao Mian had already walked past him and left without looking back. Gong Zili stood there, clenching his fists little by little. Asterisk. After getting off the plane, Chiao Mian met up with several people from the program team. She went there alone this time. You cannot bring an agent or an assistant. As soon as Chiao Mian walked out of the airport passage, she saw a large group of people standing outside to pick up the plane. There were at least hundreds of them. Most of the people picking up the airport were girls in their teens, holding pickup tags with the faces of Zhanbo, Renjun, and Sumufei in their hands. Some girls even wore them directly on their heads. A headband showing the name of a male artist. Among them, Zhanbo, who recently became popular through a costume TV series, has the most fans, followed by Sumufei. For a newcomer like Chiao Mian, who is the least famous, she simply doesn't expect fans to pick her up at the airport. She looked at the group of crazy fans, pushed up her sunglasses, turned her head and asked a staff member next to her, "Has Zhanbo's flight arrived yet?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1760. Chapter 1760, Are you, my fans? The staff member nodded. Your flight should be the first to arrive, and everyone else's flight should be later. That's it. Xiao Mian nodded, indicating that she understood. Since it was impossible for her to have any fans to pick her up at the airport, Xiao Mian was ready to take a ride to the filming location after she came out of the aisle. Sister Mian, is that you? Xiao Mian walked to the passage and suddenly heard a weak voice. It was a girl's voice, so soft that you couldn't even hear it if you weren't paying attention. Xiao Mian turned her head and saw that several of the girls who were picking up the plane were looking at her with excitement. When Xiao Mian turned her head, the expression on the face of the girl who spoke became even more excited. Sister Mian, is that you? Several girls looked at Xiao Mian with bright eyes. Xiao Mian was confused by these girls. She was stunned and looked at them in confusion. I am Xiao Mian, who are you? Wow, it's really Sister Mian. Several girls cheered excitedly. Sister Mian, we are your fans. We knew you would come today and have been waiting here for you for a long time. Fan. Xiao Mian was confused again. She looked at the girls with suspicion, a little unbelievable. You are my fans. Looking at her suspicious expression, several girls nodded heavily. Yes, Sister Mian, we are your fans. We all like you very much, and many classmates in our class also like you very much. Sister Mian, can you sign your name for us? Xiao Mian originally thought that it would be impossible for her to have any fans to pick her up at the airport. She was surprised by the sudden appearance of these fans. Although her fans are nothing compared to others, to Xiao Mian, the meaning is very different. She blinked, still a little disbelieving, and asked again, are you really my fans? Yes, Sister Mian, we are really your fans. Just wait a moment. Xiao Mian took out her mobile phone and sent a WeChat message to Linda. Did you pay me to hire a fan to pick you up at the airport? Linda was probably playing with her mobile phone. After receiving her WeChat message, she replied to her instantly. No, I don't think it's necessary. What's the matter? There are still fans coming to pick you up. Xiao Mian, well, there are several. Linda, that's good. Fans came to pick us up at the airport. Are you already there? Xiao Mian, just got off the plane. Linda, record the show well and perform well. After Xiao Mian finished chatting with Linda, she finally confirmed that these few fans were indeed her fans. She was very happy. She felt that these few fans who picked her up at the airport were simply angels. Xiao Mian looked at the few little fans and was a little flattered. The weather is quite hot. They can go to the airport to pick her up and wait for so long. They really love her. Such a true fan, Xiao Mian naturally has to treat her well. You just said you wanted autographs, right? She asked a few fans in a gentle voice. The little fan nodded immediately and looked at her expectantly. Yes. Sister Mian, is that okay? Of course. Xiao Mian looked at her cute little fans and took the initiative to add benefits. Do you want a photo together? The little fan's eyes were shining. I want it, I want it. Finally, Xiao Mian took several photos with each fan and hugged each fan. End of this chapter.